My name is Diana. My pronouns are she and her.
And my name is Erica. My pronouns are also she and her.
And we are the co-hosts of the Sacred Pathways. Very briefly, before we start today's episode, I want to just share that we are growing. We are very excited to be able to share the details with you soon. But I just wanted to share that things are in the works. Be sure to follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. We are at Sacred Pathways Pod, and we will be sharing details there as well as in our podcast feed. So you might just notice that things are different here and there in the way that we produce things, but know that we are still working with our hearts and our spirits, and we will settle gradually into something that feels lovely for all of us.
Thank you so much, Diana, for that beautiful introduction. I would also love to preface this alchemical sacred episode that we've created together to acknowledge the people who can't otherwise use their voices and have found different modalities of sharing their stories through the written word, through movement, through visual art, through sculptures, through any creative outlet. Your way of speaking, your voices are still as important, sacred, and multidimensional, and we wanted to acknowledge this. I'm ready for my blessing.
Okay. Goddess, may the words that we share in this virtual, lovely shared space be true and lovely and nice and good, and may they help people, including ourselves. And that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Yes!
We're back. We're back.
We are back.
And better
than ever. Did we really just do that? Yeah, we did. Okay, let's keep that. I'm keeping that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Here we are again, and we have ourselves a juicy topic today. Like, this is deep and juicy and big and like potentially thorny, but also like so necessary and needed. So like, and it's something that we actually both have some like expertise about, which is really cool. But I kind of feel like I have to start with a disclaimer about that.
Yes,
is that okay?
Please start with a disclaimer.
Because, you know, I think that some people know me as a person who is affiliated with the opera world, you know, the classical music world, and I don't really consider myself to be affiliated with that any longer. And I just want to share, I guess, my reason for that. I really just have felt like, a lot of pressure to be a certain way in that community, in that sort of space. As a person who was assigned male, I, fit into these certain singing roles that really didn't fit me very well. And I've never really felt like I was fully accepted in a certain way in those communities and in that role and in myself. And I'm not sure whether it was internal or external or both. Like, it was just kind of like we had an encounter with each other, this music or whatever, this musical culture and we kind of like bared our fangs at each other. And it turns out that like, I really just wanted to sing Schubert. Really, that was kind of like the end of the story. Was I wanted to sing Schubert songs, and I wanted to just live in that world for a while. And so now I get to kind of reclaim that like, I guess what I meant is like, that's why I got into classical singing, was I was in love with art song. And I still am in a certain way. I think that it's not everything I want from music, but it's like I've taken some of my musical ancestor sort of patchwork from art song. and some from folk song and some from, other places. But yeah, so I guess I just wanted to say that, like, up front, like, I'm not really going to be speaking from a classical perspective, and I don't really have a lot of interest, frankly, in that, in that discipline or in that way of working. And I have some respect for that way of working, and especially for just like unamplified singing. Like that's like an Olympic sport, like it's so cool, and it's really like specific and highly, highly like skilled. So that's awesome. But it's like, I think the culture around it is something that I sort of have some struggles and even, I would say, problems with.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about starting with like why the voice is such a huge topic for me because, like Diana said, this was something that we both pursued professionally. We both got our master's degrees in vocal performance at UCLA. And being in it has really revealed the institution that I kind of knew that I felt icky about since the beginning, but like just kept going forward with because I was like, this is how I get success. This is the only way that I can call myself a successful person. It's like, I love singing. I want to do singing and do it professionally and like travel and sing all these places. But yeah, this can be a topic for a later date, but as I started like rupturing the idea of success within myself, I began to see the voice as something way more than I could have imagined. The voice is like such a sacred, magical gift that some people are given. And it has been a really long journey for me to get to this point where I see the voice as something more than pretty, as more than nice to listen to, as more than shallow healing, And I actually would love to hear if you can think of any experiences off the bat, like what kind of woke you up to the fact that, oh, maybe there's more to the voice than I originally thought.
Yeah, thank you for that beautiful question. I think it's been a pretty gradual process for me, and it really is still happening, to be completely honest. Like, I feel like I had an experience about like a week and a half ago that really, like, it wasn't the first time that I had these thoughts or like had sort of a realization around it, but it's so crystallized, everything that I've been learning. It's like I kind of almost want to start there and then go backwards or something. Like, basically, like, long story short, I was with a person who I'm working with, like, in a sort of, I guess, student teacher, but like more fluid than student teacher relationship. And we were working on singing, and I've been pretty clear on, the fact that singing relates to everything. It's like, you're not just sort of coming to singing and then doing the singing and then going away and everything else happens. It's like you bring everything you are and everything you have into that singing moment, right? So in that singing moment, my student, quote unquote, made a really amazing insight and discovery about themselves. And like, I thought that was such a, it felt like a validation for me. It was like, okay, this is why we're doing this. And this is why we're singing together, because we were singing together in that moment. It's like, there's something that we can actually teach, I think, and observe and learn and do in the moment together, where we are, when we use our voices, we're sending our energy through our bodies, right? And so it's emerging into the world. It's like the primal creation point, right? Like, that's what we're kind of getting to, and I feel like I'm spoiling the ending or something, like,
No.
but we'll kind of circle back around to that. But that's just what I do. Like, I just drive to the middle of everything and then go from there. So it's like, that's what we're talking about, is the primal creation moment is happening inside of our bodies in the moment that we're actually in, right? It's like the beginning of the universe in this moment. And like, it's a time when it's a place, it's a way, I don't know, it's a modality in which we can observe how our energy flows. And we can also sort of join our stream with another person, or like do a dance together. And that's sort of what we were doing, was like, we were doing rounds together. We were like singing similar things that were related, you know, so you have to kind of hold your own ground as a singer, as an energy. So like, that's what I think we were tapping into, is like, to be able to hold your own energy center in that musical context takes the same kinds of things that holding your own energy center in the world takes. Mm-hmm. And so like, they were connecting it to these, you know, cultural moments of like, oh, I'm kind of reliant on outside energies to prop me up. And so I feel unconfident. I feel like my energy sags when I don't have that support underneath me from outside. And it's like so important to be able to see that and experience it in your body for yourself, you know, and not to have somebody else say, oh, I'm seeing this for, you know, this is what you need to do, da, da, da. I'm prescribing from the outside. It's like, I'm discovering that I'm having a really hard time with this. You know, it's like, that's what the voice can give us, is like discovery of our own energy. And there's so many times when really, I mean, probably, okay, so this is great. This is what I thought I was going to do. Going back outside, yep. Backwards, I feel like the voice singing moments have been the places where I felt the most in my own truth, right? It's like, I haven't always been able to speak who I am, what I believe, what I think, what I feel. I don't always know. There's a lot of like blockage sometimes inside of myself. Like, I'm sometimes the last person to know what I think or what I feel. Or it's like, there's this weird thing that happens where I don't really know what I think until I've said it already. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah. That's sort of a blessing and a curse. I don't know. Like, there's something, it actually, I think, connects to the Aries energy we were just talking about before we started recording. I'm an Aries sun sign, and I also have Venus in Aries. And like, and it's Aries season now as we're recording this. And like, I've been reading a little bit about Aries. It's like the sort of like beginning sign, right? And there's an innocence to that, and also like a really strong drive. How is this relating to what I was saying before? I've lost my own thread.
You got to the core, and then you're spreading from...
Yeah. So it's like, I haven't been able to speak, you know, oh, I am this person, or da-da-da. I don't exactly, I haven't had the words, I haven't had, you know, the way to articulate it. But when I sing, I feel like, not always, but sometimes I feel like I don't have to explain, that everything is just there and present and self-explanatory, kind of contained. It's like, I don't need to go outside of this moment to determine who I am or to show who I am. This is who I am, is sort of the feeling that I have when, you know, when I'm singing, I guess, in my power, you know? So that's why I'm the most interested in singing. And that's something that I think I've probably discovered alone. And I don't think that I can do this around other people very well yet. So that's sort of my struggle, or yeah, I guess a struggle and journey right now is like, how do I bring what I found by myself into presence with other people in a way that feels, you know, lusciously safe for me? You know, like, not just like safe as in like, I'm not going to get punched in the face, but like safe as in like, I feel like beautiful and like luxurious and so safe that I could do anything. Like, that's the kind of safety that I need in order to bring that truth and power into the moment, because it's very vulnerable. Like, that's the thing that I feel like people sometimes really like crap on about, you know, Aries energy and whatever, is like, we're really trying our best, even if it looks like a crazy, like, dumpster fire. You know,
my
like
gosh.
there's
Oh
such
my
an
gosh.
earnestness and such a like innocence to that, because it's like, here it is. It might not be clean or like, polished or whatever, but here it is. Here I am. That's what I feel like is coming through, is like the voice to me is kind of a here I am. Singing is here I am.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So many. Oh my gosh, there's so many beautiful things that you brought up. And as you're bringing these things up, I'm like reflecting on the students that I've worked with and like me working on myself. Um like vocally, I teach voice lessons, everybody, but there have been times where I like was bummed out about it because I'm like, I'm not helping these people. Like what how is this help, like how is telling you how to technically sing this to make it easier like good for you? But as I was teaching more and just like observing a little more, I realized that the voice lessons that I give are pretty much therapy sessions for these people because voice lessons essentially now is like me telling my students, or like trying to show my students that there are ways to appreciate what they have. Because, like you said, vulnerability is such a scary and huge thing, but also really beautiful. And that's what happens when you sing or make sounds or just phonate. It's, yes, you can like morph your mouth and like placement to sound different than you usually sing, but our voices are a really beautiful accumulation of our anatomy. And people tend to be unhappy with what they have voice wise, but this is like anything in life. People are unhappy with what they have when they're trying to sound like someone else, when they're trying to sound like someone else who like doesn't even come close to their anatomical structure, you know? So, like, what I was saying when I brought up my students and like having this discovery that helping my students not necessarily like sing in a technically sound way, although I do touch on that, I realized that what I am more interested in doing is showing them, hey, you're really good at this, you're really good at this, your voice loves, like it blooms when it sings this, and just like bringing it into this, I don't know, just making them feel more whole. Instead of like, oh, I can't do this like that person, so I'm not good. I can't do this like that person, so I'm not good. I want them to like realize that they are whole already and all their tools are already there. And the step that they need to take is one, like trust in themselves, and two, like allow themselves to be different. Because why would you want to try to sound like someone else when you are you? Why would you want to? Well, I mean, I understand why. I'm just saying, like.
Me too.
No, I get it. But like, that's not where joy comes from, and that's not using your gifts. It's it's kind of like an act of service to whatever higher power, to goddess, to source, for you to like use what has been given to you.
Amen.
And what I'm saying is the voice is such a great tool to access this mentality, this way of navigating life. Because like you said earlier, people sing how they see themselves. Like you can tell someone's not a very confident person when they sing. You can tell that someone doesn't like speaking up when they sing. You can tell when someone's so used to like never taking up space.
Yeah. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to know if you had an answer to the question that you asked me about, experiences that you had that brought about that realization that the voice is more than a pretty, space to show off, is the way that it comes up for me.
Yeah, I was actually trying to think about this, which is why I asked you. I deflected, y'all. I totally deflected. But just like you, I've had experiences that like kind of nudged me and made me think like there's got to be more to this than I'm letting on. But I would say sometime last year, I started pursuing like experimental vocal work, and that was pretty fun, but there was still structure happening in there, and I didn't like that, and I was just like, you know what, I can't do this right now. Like, that's not what my soul wants at the moment. And whenever I start feeling like I have to do something, it's not fun anymore. That's my personality.
Oh my gosh, I resonate with that so hard.
Yeah, so that was like my first introduction, and then I found out that while I'm in nature and have some plant medicine with me, I always want to like tone and sing and make these weird sounds, and it always feels so good and natural, and I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just like la 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 la, and it's so nice. It is so nice, and I'm like, this is what singing should be like all the time, like just in the moment, playing, exploring,
just being
all
a chirpy bird.
Yeah. I listen to the birds at work, and I'm just like, they are so free. They are so happy.
They're so good.
Oh my goodness. So that got me thinking and like exploring a little more about how the voice actually is very it's very connected to the body, which honestly most of my life I never realized, because I just think of singing as like torso up, but it's like literally everything else, because we're meat balloons, right? We like expand when we breathe deep, and like all our viscera just like spans out and down, and that's where we get a lot of our power from. But I was invited to do this workshop, and just like do like one day, come in as a guest speaker and just like talk about the voice. And I had notes. I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna say. But the more I was talking, the more I made connections, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild, because I truly think now that the voice is like tapping into different dimensions because of its vibratory characteristics. And when you were talking about how like it's difficult for you to speak your truth, but most times it's easier to sing your truth, and that just made like that already was proof enough that singing is a totally different dimension that we are lucky enough to experience here in the 3D. But like the more I talked about it, the more I realized So vibration is everything, right? Vibration is everything. Our vocal cords are the only things in our body that vibrates as at the frequency that it does.
Wow, I've never thought about it like that.
So we literally have like healing, we literally have a healing tool built in our bodies.
Wow.
And if that isn't freaking miracle enough, like who thought of this? Whose idea was
It was not me. It was not me. I don't know.
like when I made that connection, just a whole bunch of ideas and opportunities have come up.
That's so cool. I love that you did the sort of thing that I was describing where it's like you said the things and then you were like, wait, yeah, that's what I think.
Yes. Yes. And the people in the workshop were just like, okay, I'm going to be honest right here. I thought I was just spewing bullshit. I was like, how is this going to work? How are they going to like, I don't really know. But to me, this is kind of what it feels like. So I'm just going to say it. And everybody like resonated so well with it.
Wow.
And I had them do this, just this tiny little meditation where they like quiet themselves for a little bit, go into their heart, think about a memory that they thought was love at that time, and like make a sound based on that feeling or that memory.
I love
And
that.
then I told them to think about a time where, like, now that they've been through the experiences that they've been through and, like, know better, like, that love is not supposed to carve from people. It's supposed to, like, keep each other whole and yet accept, right? The acceptance is love. So then I was like, now you can make a sound out of that. And it just blew their minds. It blew their minds.
Wow. You just blew my mind a little bit, I was going to say, because that was beautiful. And, like, you're describing something that I'm just now, like, learning about. I'm still having those experiences of, like, love is not carving from another person, it's accepting them and, like, allowing them to be who they actually are.
Yeah.
But there's, like, oh my gosh, can I tangent
Yes.
for a second?
Tangent.
Like, it takes so much for me personally to learn about that, because, like, in order for me to do that for other people, to allow them to be who they are, I need to be who I am. And that's terrifying for me. Like, I'm so scared to be who I really am. And, like, with some good reason, right? Because I'm trans feminine and because, like, I haven't been accepted in the past. That's like my body is telling me it's not safe, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time. And my trauma kind of memories are saying it's not safe. So you better keep that stuff in, and also, like, tell other people, you know, to keep their stuff in that's really tender, because it's going to get hurt, you know? Like, that tenderness is met with roughness. And I'm having to sort of re-educate myself and my body and my inner child. Like, no, honey, like, tenderness can be met with love and acceptance. And, like, just that possibility is new to me, you know? Like, I've literally gone back and, like, I have a core kind of memory about, like, feeling unsafe when I was playing Princess. And so, like, I went back and I actually did the practice. It sounds so silly, but, like, it was super, super powerful. I did the practice of, like, imagining myself as coming into a room with my child self playing Princess and having a positive reaction to her. And, like, it literally was like opening new doors in my brain. It was like, I've never had the thought that somebody could have come into the room when I was playing Princess and had a positive reaction to me. That just it never occurred to me. It never was a thought that occurred. And, like, going through these different scenarios of, like, oh, I could say this or I could do that, you know, like, that was so healing to me, because it was like, oh my God, that could have happened, you know, like just even though it didn't, the possibilities opening like that to me is like, it's so important. So I feel like, you know, I want to like reflect that outwards too, of like, to people who are listening, like when you make yourself vulnerable, sometimes people are rough with you, and then you can say, stop, and you can choose differently. But there's other times, and these are the most important times, when you make yourself vulnerable, when you show something that's tender, and people say thank you. And then they show their stuff too. And they make themselves vulnerable too. And then everybody is sharing the tender parts of themselves, the parts that are sensitive and like that you can't really change even if you tried. And that's that's where I want to live now, is with the parts of me that I couldn't change if I tried. And yeah, it's taken so much like courage for me to accept myself. And I'm still doing it, and I'm still working that path. And so that, you know, if there's something about the voice that I can say from that, it's like we can put that into action in the voice, right? We can not just sort of think I accept you, but we can enact I accept you by singing in the moment and accepting what's coming out and telling the truth and accepting what you want to sing, how you want to sing it, you know? Like if I want to sing Go Tell Aunt Rhody, but in, you know, B flat minor and like the worst, like kitschiest drag queen you've ever imagined in your entire life, that's what I'm going to do because I fucking feel like it, you know? Like,
yeah.
And I guess for the like people who don't have as much musical like words knowledge, like just whatever you feel like singing, it just comes out of you, you know, like the loudest, most obnoxious, most like harsh, most ugly thing that you can imagine, or whatever, like just playful, beautiful, cute, or the tiniest little sound, like anything. If anything is on the table, what do you do? And how do you feel into what wants to happen right now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's a beautiful celebration. Singing is a really beautiful celebration. And celebration can only come from, like, I learned this from you, Diana. Celebration and joy can only come from feeling safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that came up from your beautiful story was that you can bring your voice to speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Because your voice is like literally your messenger to the world. Because nobody else will know what you're going through, what you need, how you're feeling, what you're passionate about, unless you speak it into existence.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to say too, like, I'm not against speaking at all. I think that speaking is so necessary and beautiful, and like it's like I'm not discounting speaking as such a powerful method of sharing your truth too, but it's like that's where some of my scar tissue is, I think, is like feeling like in conversation I have to be this person, you know, I have to be kind of combative and or defensive in the way that I speak. But if I can sing, or rather if I can speak the way that I sing, which is unguarded, whatever's coming out of me, like which I'm learning how to do with the help of an amazing voice therapist. Hello, if you're listening. She's great. And like, she's helping me to just like bring those things together where it's like, okay, I don't have to speak in this one way, you know, that I've sort of learned. I can speak the truth of the energy that's inside of my body, and I can make little like kind adjustments afterwards, or choices afterwards, and say, oh, I really liked it when I did this way. What if I learned how to do that more consistently or more often, but I'm not like trying to change the way that I speak by imposing an idea from the outside.
Right. Right. This is really beautiful, actually, because I see how you working with speaking is like going to feed into your singing. Oh, singing as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to keep nourishing each other the more attention and like love you bring into each aspect. And you know what, y'all? They're not even that far off. Like they're related. Like speaking and singing is very related, but for some reason we think that they are totally separate things.
Right.
And that's another thing that I've been seeing with my students. They have like really resonant voices when they speak, and they're actually pretty dynamic. Like I hear them going all the way up there and then coming back down here, and I'm like, I can tell that you think that the relationship between speaking and singing is like so far off, and when you sing, you have to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I imagine people like taking off their ordinary clothes then and putting on this like weird like tutu thing maybe, or like it's like something that they can't move very well in, and then they're kind of standing on the stage like, I don't know if this is right.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, it's like we've forgotten how to sing just like in your daily life, and that's something that our ancestors did all the time, like I think about that so much. Like there are songs for working, there are songs for gathering, there are songs for walking, there are songs for any possible activity that you have during the day. There are songs for washing the dishes that I'm sure that our ancestors sang, and like they did it sometimes in groups or whatever, and it's like that really was like, I think the power that motivated them to just keep living and keep moving and keep doing is like that, the power of the song force that was moving through them. So that's sort of what I feel too, is like that singing is one of the ways that we get to tap back into the eternal flame of life that we all carry. We're all torchbearers. We're all the torchbearers of the goddess, basically, in my spirituality. And so when I sing, I'm like singing with my ancestors. They're singing through me and I'm singing through them. And it's like we're all connecting in that eternal moment of the flame.
Oh my God. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. It's totally true. I had never thought of it that way.
That's a pretty recent thing for me, or it's something that's been dawning for a while, and like, like I'm so grateful that I get to speak with such clarity and sort of some feeling of precision and just sort of like laying it all out. But it's taken me a while to like dig through a bunch of stuff and really like, I've done research. I've been doing research, and I do it for fun, which is kind of boggles my mind sometimes. I'm like, who are you?
It's so amazing.
What is your life?
Do this.
But yeah, I do it because I want to, and because like I have the calling to be a pattern holder, and to be that person who knows why we sing, who knows the important parts about it, and who knows the ancestral patterns that have been passed down to us from our great ancestors, the ones who like were really tapping into things. And I really think that there are, I'm just going to ramble for a quick second, that like there are these like really important transmissions, I guess, that that exist within the ancestral musics that we have at our fingertips a lot of the time now. That's the amazing thing about our technological moment, is we can go back and listen to like more than 100 years of recordings of people. And like, I really recommend that people do that. Like, go listen to somebody who's singing in the 1920s. Go and listen to that recording and listen to how different that is. And like, not only listen with your ears, but listen with your whole body, and just be like, what is going on inside this person's body as they're singing? And I'm sure that you can get some information. Like, I feel like I get lots of information from people's bodies when they sing, and I don't think I'm the only one. And like, that to me relates to songwriting too, which is a great passion of mine and a great fear of mine, because I care so much about writing and songs and singing them and like all this stuff. And I also feel drawn to knowing the sort of very arcane patterns that go into some of like the ancestral musics that we have, like the folk songs and these things where it's like a puzzle, except it's also a song. Or, you know, it's like this really tightly woven fabric, you know, of words and sounds. And like those, what's been blowing my mind recently is just thinking that those patterns and those sounds are a reflection of universal truth.
Yep. And what does the universe actually mean?
Tell us, Erica.
I have to give credit. This is Queen Tay Tarot. She was the one who told me in one of our conversations, but she brought up the fact that universe means one song.
Yes.
And if that doesn't bring tears to your eyes, I don't know what will. The universe is just one song. Yeah. One song of vibrations that we're all a part of.
Yeah.
And we actively form with every action that we take. Yeah. With everything that we create.
Sure.
And like, thinking of it this way, like, how can anything that you create, how that comes from your heart, how can anything that you sing or speak into existence, how can that not belong anywhere? It's all one song.
I love that. I love that question. And I also have to like own a fear message that's coming up. And I want to presence it so it's not just eating at me in silence. I am afraid of speaking out for the wrong reasons. Or, you know, I'm afraid of discovering that I was only seeking attention or seeking self-aggrandizement or seeking, you know, like love from the outside when I really need to generate love from the inside first. And I have done that. So it's not an unfounded fear. So like for me, it's not completely free of baggage, I guess, in that sense. But it also means that I feel so strongly that I have learned it's really not good for you to do that kind of stuff. I really truly believe lying is spiritually bad for you. I don't know exactly all of the reasons why, but it's like at the end of that cycle of lies, you don't know what is truth and what is lie anymore. That's the curse. Is like if you start to lie, you are not at some point able to tell the difference between the truth and lies. And the same probably for speaking for the wrong reasons, is like you lose that, maybe it's that integrity and honor, you know, like that's, I think what some of us are showing when we sing is like our integrity and our honor, and that this matters, and that we are with our hearts and with our spirits in that moment, and not sort of disjointing ourselves to play games, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that is really interesting that you brought that up because singing exposes a lot of truth. And speaking can expose truth, I feel. But we're a lot better at playing the game when it comes to speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like the vibrations of singing just won't allow it. Like you can't really project if you can't say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, as in the phrase that the cool kids are saying now.
Yeah. No, it's like you can't hide.
Yeah.
There's no place to hide in singing.
And I do want to bring this up. Like, I truly believe that people who are able to, like, phonate and control speech are totally able to sing. Like, it's if you can speak, it is your innate ability to be able to sing. And
Yeah.
what stops so many people, or like makes so many people shy about even admitting that they like singing in the shower or in the car, is that they don't see the, I don't know, the sacredness of it. Instead, they have to compare themselves to the people who are making money singing and compare themselves to other talented people, or going all the way back to their childhood and being like, oh yeah, my 5th grade choir teacher told me I don't have a good voice, so I only sing quietly to myself now.
Yeah.
It is such a sin to silence people.
Yes. Yes.
It is such a freaking sin. And it happens all the time.
I know. Even just when we say, like, oh, don't say that, or, you know, oh, you don't mean that, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so many ways in which we do it in sort of that hidden way, you know? Like, it's not always, you have a bad voice, stop singing. It's like, you know, sometimes I feel like it's just challenge. Like, do you really mean that, you know? And it's like, it has the effect of kind of making me kind of go back into my shell a little bit of like, maybe I don't know, you know, it's like my relationship to self is suddenly shaky because I'm like, I'm questioning now. And, you know, so my being is devoted into this internal questioning, and I can't really stand in my power because I'm questioning.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really hard lesson that I really am trying to be mindful of, is the fact that I don't have to justify anything. Like, if it's coming as like a little alert light blinking, I should definitely acknowledge it. And I don't have to, and you know what? This is the thing with justification. Like, I hope to change this one day, but I've realized that whenever I am challenged to justify one of my actions, I do this quick mental acrobatics, and I'm like, who am I talking to? Okay, I know that they like these things and they seem that they would respond better to this answer.
Yes.
So I
yes.
like quickly calculate, and then I say that answer. And when I say it, I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right, but I do it anyway. And then the next person challenges me, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
blah.
Totally.
You know? Yeah, that's, I would not mind justifying things if I felt safe enough for the real answer. Like, to share the real answer. But I'm really hoping that, like, the more that I talk about this, the more that I realize that, like, I don't have to justify anything. Like, if it's coming as, like, a little alert light blinking, I should definitely acknowledge it. And, like, my relationship to self is such a the work that we're doing, Diana, I really hope that we can create a world, or at least within our spheres, our social spheres, that people feel safe when they do justify for themselves. Because y'all, I recently did a plant spirit healing, and all these really beautiful messages from plants came to me, and one of them was like, your bodies are on a loan. Like, you are here on a loan, and y'all aren't even doing shit. Like, there's so much you can do with your bodies. There's so much. Like, we have voices to speak up for ourselves, to stand up for others, to empower others, to amplify their stories. We have these bodies, we can move things. There's so much potential in this loan from Mother Earth that we are currently inhabiting. And half the population doesn't do shit about it. Because whatever forces are trying to keep us quiet are doing a really freaking good job.
Yes.
And I really feel like the only sustainable way to kind of birth a world that I know we are all hoping in our hearts, is to make each other feel safe to do so.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
The voice is powerful, y'all.
It's the transformative agent of amazingness. Oh my gosh. And like, it's like, I guess I just want to like share something that's coming up so strongly for me right now. Like, I'm remembering when I was a young teenager, and like younger than a teenager, I took Aikido, which is a really interesting soft martial art. So it's not about dominating or aggressing or anything. It's about like blending, really, and sort of protecting everyone involved in a conflict, including the aggressor. So like, and the thing that's coming to me to share is we learned how to strike with a sound. And like that sound of the syllable that we used was ki, and that like syllable, I feel like there's something really powerful in that action paired with a sound. And like, I'm imagining, you probably won't literally do this, but if you are in a situation where you feel unsafe or challenged, if you stand with a ki, or if you like give yourself that energy of like, yeah, of like a stance and an action like that, I just wonder if that might give, the safety that you need to share the truth. Instead of feeling like you have to deflect or strategize, like, I just want to honor all the times when we have to strategize in order to survive, in order to avoid being fired, in order to avoid, having that argument for the 17th time, in order to avoid being criticized in that place that hurts so badly, like all of those times when we have to sacrifice the truth in order to survive. Like, those times have honor, and those times can be thanked and released. So we don't have to have that pattern anymore, that we can stand in our power and say, I'm here. Ki. Except, with all of the force and rage and like everything, with your whole energy. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to like put that in your little earbuds, but but you can imagine it, like just that cry, that like battle cry. That feels important.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it after we're done here. I'm just going to do it in my room.
I think I might do that too. Dang.
Okay, I notice we're both wearing blue. Blue is the color that's associated with the throat chakra, right? And I'm wearing a very dark blue, and you're wearing a denim. Would you tell me about your relationship to the color blue?
Oh my goodness. I love the color blue. I've always been drawn to the cool colors. Which makes sense because when I found out that blue was like associated with the throat chakra, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Blue. When I think of blue, I think of the sky. I think of the ocean. I think of like limitless entities, essentially. And that's really beautiful that the throat chakra mirrors this hue because I guess, in many ways, our voices are multidimensional aspects of ourselves that we can see in this dimension as well. Like I forget like how personal the voice can be. Not can be, is. It's like it's you in a form that isn't even tangible, but we
Wow.
feel it. It like you don't have to affect someone by touching them. You affect them with your voice. So, blue.
Blue.
Yeah.
There's such a beautiful thing too that the ocean and the sky are both things that are filling, and our voices do the same thing with space. They fill. They're all around.
Yeah. It's both cleansing and healing. Like our voices can cleanse and like release, and our voices can also heal. And I feel like especially the ocean, I feel is like super cleanser, release and healing energy.
I love that.
What about you?
My relationship to blue?
Yes.
Well, blue. Yeah, I think about purity a lot when I think about blue. I think about pure blue sky like you mentioned. And I think about truth, you know? Yeah. And that's something that I guess I just want to like say, you know, truth is such it's a word I use a lot, and it's a word that people I think use in a flippant way, and I'm resistant to that. I think that truth is spiritual, and truth is like often a disrupting force. It's not something that is just sort of easily apparent. Like in this moment in the world, truth is radical. The truth is radical. And the power of truth exists in each and every single one of us. And that's what we're learning to do as a community together now, is how do we honor that and also come to collective understandings? How do we honor the individual truth as well as the collective and universal truths? And I think that's like that's where I want to end my answer. let's see, should we do a little prayer moment?
Yes, please. Would you?
May I do it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yay. As we close this space that we have been sharing together, I ask for a special blessing to each of the voices, the ones that have spoken, the ones that are listening, the ones that will speak, the ones that spoke before. May your voices shine with the truth, the light, the fire, the ocean, the sky. The blessings of the goddess on your voices, on your lives, your ancestors, and your descendants. We offer our gratitude for our ability to tell the truth and hear the truth and know the truth and feel the truth. We offer gratitude for this time that you've given and for the love that we share and that we feel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In the name of the goddess, blessed be.
Blessed be.
This episode was created by Erica Neufeld and Diana Walker. We wrote and recorded all the music. We had a conversation. I edited it. We make all of the graphics and all of the music for all of our episodes. You can find us on all of your podcast platforms. We make YouTube videos for all of our episodes and upload them to our YouTube page. We are at Sacred Pathways Pod on Instagram. We love to keep in touch with people. We would love to know your experience with these episodes. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you would like to. Thank you so much for spending your time with us, and we hope that you received something from listening. Thank you very much.